What media is right for my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K? Over the past 3 years, I've learned a lot about media with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. And all the tests I'll show you today have all been done on the 4K and not the 6K, and definitely not the new 6K camera that came out. But since they said you can use the same accessories, I'm hoping most of the media types you will be able to use. Now I know they dropped SD cards on the new camera and they moved to CF Express cards versus CFast cards. But I'm not going to test any CFast cards with this camera because they are very expensive. But what I have tested out was your typical SanDisk SD card. This one is 170 megabytes per second. Decent card, works, but doesn't work with everything. The next is the Samsung T5s. Everybody's recommended these, work great. Are they perfect? No, but they do work great with this camera. And the biggest surprise would be these Intel solid-state drives that I've had for about 10 years now. And I was using these in my Blackmagic Cinema Camera 2.5K. And I've been using these for a very long time with that camera. And somebody I saw on YouTube, I don't remember who it was, but they were like, you could use these drives with your Blackmagic cameras. And I was like, really? So what I've done is I bought a UGreen external enclosure with a USB-C port. And this is the UGreen USB-C generation 3.2, I believe. I'll leave a link down below if you're really interested in this. And I've just used it with the USB-C cable that it came with. And I popped in this is a 256 gigabyte solid state drive. And to my surprise, it's actually faster than all these other drives. Probably not so surprising to the SD card. And when I use the SD card, I will tell you, I could shoot 23 frames per second, maybe even 30 frames per second at 5:1 constant quality. But when I go to 60 frames per second, I had to drop the quality down to a 12:1. Still manageable, still work great, but just couldn't do it with this card. But then I was like, let's test this solid state drive out and see how well it works. And I was surprised I could get 3:1 constant quality at 24, 23, 97 frames per second. And it could actually shoot up to 60 frames per second on the 4K. I was thinking like, yeah, if I really want to shoot great quality and great slow motion quality, I'm just going to use this drive, and I'm going to fix this drive to my shoulder rig or my tripod somehow with my rods and rails. And actually having a few pieces laying around here, I was able to do that without having to use tape and Velcro and all that weird stuff. I really don't like tape and Velcro. It leaves sticky residue all behind on everything, and I just really don't like that. But what I do have is like one of these adjustable phone holders here. So it leaves me the option to be able to switch out the drives, because I've got a couple of these solid state drives laying around. All 256, which is good because if I'm shooting on a terabyte T5, which this one is, and let's say something happens and it corrupts, and then I don't know if the files are corrupted on this, then I've just shot a terabyte of footage I may lose. But if I shoot 256, that's roughly about 25 to 30 minutes at 3:1 quality. And then, you know, as you go down like 12:1, I was getting close to an hour off of this, like 54, 55 minutes shooting 12:1 with this guy, which is plenty for all day shooting. But also you have the ability, if you're shooting high quality, you just swap out the drive with a new drive, and then somebody makes sure when they're backing up the drives that all the footage is there. That's the real way to do it, but I know you can't always do that, and sometimes you can't always switch drives. But at the same time, you can always get a terabyte drive for this guy, this UGreen enclosure, and that'd be the same as this, or you can get half a terabyte, and it would probably cost you just as much as this guy would here. But back to what I do is, since I have this phone holder here, I've got attached to a little monitor ball thing right there, and I just pop it in there like so. And turn on the camera. And it's ready to go. And just to see if I can turn this around here, just to kind of tell you like what it is. 3:1, high frame rate, 60 frames per second. I'll let it record. And we're getting, I've already recorded some stuff with this, but at 60 frames, 3:1, we're getting like 13, 14 minutes. And I've already shot a little bit, so I probably got about 15 minutes off of this 256 gigabyte drive here, which isn't great, but it's not terrible either. That's going to be about right, depending on your drive. If I put a terabyte, you know, if you did the math, that would be about an hour of footage, 60 minutes of footage, if you put a terabyte drive in there. But as you can see, there's no drop frames. Everything's running great. I've been shooting for a couple minutes now. And like I said, 3:1 quality off of this drive, that's amazing. Like I said, these Samsung T5s, I can't even get 5:1 60 frames. I can get 5:1 60 frames off of this, but I can't get 3:1. I can't even get 3:1 24 frames per second. It always drops frames on me. Now, if you tell me if I'm wrong, or if you've experienced the same thing with the drop frames at 3:1 quality on these, but I think I remember correctly, we can swap it out and we can see actually right now. Let's just test it right now. I may be thinking about the 6K camera and not the 4K camera. But as you see, everything here is running well. No drop frames, no problem. Okay. So what I like to do is I'm just going to turn off the camera and go to the SSD. Turn on the camera. Still at the 3:1. Haven't changed anything. Let's see what happens. Actually, so far, it's been a minute, and I don't see any drop frames with this. So that's good. It's only the 6K. It must only be the 6K that you can't do 3:1 on the T5s. And in another video, I will retest that, and I will test this UGreen solid state drive with it just to see if I'm wrong and I can't get 3:1 quality. But I'm going to show you very carefully right here. And maybe it's a cable thing and not so much a drive. Maybe this USB cable, USB-C cable, is actually faster. But as you can see, 60 frames, still in the same quality, no drop frames. I'll show you the menu here in a second as we're done testing. No drop frames, no stoppage, good to go. Stop, menu, 3-to-1. So yeah, the T5's 3-to-1 on the 4K seem to be great, but also these little drives here are fantastic. I'm really surprised at 60 frames that this little drive and this little enclosure can handle all that. So that's going to do it for this video. Remember to like and subscribe and wait for more videos. Like I said, I'm going to do a 6K test with these just to make sure that I'm right in what I was saying. And if I'm wrong, I'll let you know in the next video.